That is recording for personal use. Anyone else recording? Okay, did everybody sign in that's here so that we can have record of who's at the meeting? So we have, Jen, I see you have holiday tree on here. That's on the agenda. You don't have anything to add at this point. We can talk about it then, correct?
That's, yes.
Okay. Dot, meeting recording minutes.
Yes, I just had a comment and a question following. I just wanted to let people know that I have started putting the recordings that I do of the meetings on YouTube.
Okay.
So for people who can't make it to meetings because of work obligations or things that they have to do with their kids, I thought it was an easy way for people to kind of be involved in the township meeting without having to actually be here. So all you have to do is go to YouTube and search South Londonderry Township meetings and they will appear.
Okay.
And I did it for a couple of reasons. I do get several requests from people who want their recordings, which is fine, it's not a big deal, but I figured this was just make it more accessible to more people. And the other reason, like I said, for people who can't be here because of work, other kids' obligations, things like that. This way they're getting the full picture of what happened at a meeting and not hearsay or what other people are telling them. Sometimes the meeting minutes are not very detailed, so this way they get the full picture of what's going on. So that was my comment.
Okay.
And I actually had a question,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Sure.
And this kind of explains the benefits of why I like having the recordings, because I was going through some of the old meeting minutes, and I saw something in there that I didn't remember happening at one of the meetings, but I went back and I listened, and it did, in fact, it was discussed, I just missed it. So my question has to do with the new hire.
Yes.
That was discussed at the June 25th, 26th meeting. It says that she was hired at a rate of $15 per hour plus benefits with a salary review to be completed at 90 days of employment.
Yes.
So my questions about that were, when did the benefits start? And when did the policy of a 90-day salary review come into play? Is that something new that the board kind of put out there, or does it have anything to do with her having a personal relationship with the manager?
As far as I know, she's not taking benefits. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And there was a 90-day review was what we put out. We were going to put it out for anyone. That was what we were going to do.
That's still with her.
I don't-
The only reason I ask is because I went back 5 years through all of the meeting minutes, and that was not indicated on any new hire, even for Dawn when Dawn was hired.
We did that.
It's a good practice.
I think they did that for Sean, but they didn't review him. They gave him a bonus at a certain.
A lot of his hires had, or a few, not a lot, a few of his had 6-month review with a 50-cent per hour increase. I was just curious as to when that was put into play, if that was a board decision or.
That was how we agreed to hire her.
I don't exactly remember how the conversation took place, but I can assure you, I was a very large advocate of that. And I can, going forward myself, that would be every hire.
What is involved in that? Like, what is the decision? Is it a kind of across the board, you'll get a 50-cent per hour increase, or I'm just kind of concerned because of some of the increases that have happened in the past.
I don't know that 90-day review means,
I don't think there were any promises or
Right.
indications or.
Only because it says salary review. That kind of triggered a question in my mind as to what that entailed, what that meant. A review is one thing, because I know for other hires it was discussed, a probationary period, 90-day probationary period, things like that, but the salary review kind of jumped out at me.
I think it very well may have just been the wording. I don't know that there was any specific, I don't
We
recall any
haven't
specific
discussed
discussion
it.
about,
Okay.
you want more than that, we're gonna review it in 90 days. I think that may
And
just.
that'll be talked about at that'll be brought up at one of the meetings if that does happen.
Well, the
So-
the evaluation of the employee.
No, not the evaluation, the salary increase.
Yeah, I mean, if
Correct.
there's gonna be a bump
That's all
or any
I'm
kind of
curious
change
about.
in, what's that?
That's all I'm curious about.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer?
We'll see.
Okay.
To be continued.
Just to respond on your recording the meeting minutes, I know I've expressed numerous times in meetings, I have some mixed feelings, both good and bad, but I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
No problem. Yeah.
It's a whole lot easier for anybody to get it from that than it is the red tape, if they actually would exist here, so it's pretty.
I like that more people want to be involved. So
Yeah.
You're not
I think it's
planning
good.
on doing that for the planning commission?
I don't come to those.
Okay,
Well, you're gonna have to start.
okay.
Oh, feel
I haven't been
free.
able to attend the last couple, so, yes.
As
Just wondering.
a commissioner on the planning commission, I would welcome your, yeah.
I'll see if I could open that schedule.
Okay, Jerry and Carissa Castle, where are you? There you are. Police Association.
Yes. Basically, we've been, this is regarding the police medical responder program that we have proposed, and there's been obviously back and forth for a few months. Most recently, we have revised our proposal, and that's what I wanted to come and just ask tonight. So I just prepared this that I wanted to ask. So I'm here on behalf of the South Londonderry Police Officers Association. I'm the vice president, and again, we think this is a good thing. We're requesting that the Board of Supervisors review and approve entertaining a formal agreement or a memorandum of understanding between the police department and lawn EMS. This agreement would permit on-duty police officers that possess the certification of EMR or emergency medical responder or above, and are additionally qualified volunteers with lawn EMS to provide a more advanced level of emergency medical care at the scene of certain calls. So this will allow officers to do what we do now, only better with a little bit more advanced training. We have one police officer that has been functioning this way for many months with no formal agreement in place, it's just verbal. We would like to secure a formal agreement and allow a few more officers to participate the same way he does. A local organization has agreed to donate money for training and equipment, leaving this to start at no additional cost to the township or taxpayers. This MOU would allow those officers with advanced certifications to take life-saving actions or potentially improve patient outcomes in certain instances. This proposal has support from the officers that wish to participate, the Police Association, and Lawn EMS. So we would note that this would be an approved service to our community, and currently would be at no additional cost to the township. So we had submitted that potential MOU.
I have,
Tonight with the expectation it would be signed, but we would like, formally, we wanted to submit it for review.
okay, I think I would like to see it discussed at the next workshop meeting. Are you both in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Because then we can take
We
time.
won't have any officers available for that. We
Oh,
have
no.
a conflict,
Okay.
There was a conflict that day, and none of us can make that date.
Okay,
Would you prefer us to wait until you could, or would you prefer us to discuss it?
can we bump it to the next meeting then? That would be October something?
Some of the training, one of the training opportunities is at the Palmyra Fire Company, and that's due to start on Thursday.
Okay,
So we were looking to have some type of formal approval to go ahead with that, and also prior to the October meeting, we would have to be enrolled in there's a separate training that we were looking at, so that's the reason. I was hoping if there were any questions or concerns, maybe we'd be able to discuss some of those tonight, but I'm not sure.
I haven't seen it about you. I don't know if it was floated to me or not.
it was not, no. We were gonna discuss it and then figure out where to go from there. We didn't wanna, I think I sent it to the chief last night, we wanted to have time to discuss it. But I didn't think tonight would be the greatest night to discuss it all. But I didn't realize you're in such a time crunch for the classes.
Would we be able to enroll in that training while to continue on as if the expectation that we'd be able to hopefully work that out?
Any of you have any thoughts on that?
I don't,
I have no issues.
yeah, I have no issues with that. I mean, I think, I think conceptually, I think we're conceptually on board. So, I know they taught the lawn.
Conceptually, yes. Practically, with our staffing and other concerns, I would say no. To my personal opinion.
Or you're intending on only incidents that you would normally be dispatched to?
Right, or those instances where it would be practical or we'd be available to respond. Obviously, this would not be a replacement for any kind of QRS. This is not in lieu of an ambulance. This is doing what we do now, only better. Our intention would be to, as you know now, we would show up at an accident scene, an overdose, allergic reaction, it could be a medical event, could be a traumatic injury, a sporting injury. And right now, we're kind of limited on what we can do for training equipment. There's times where we actually think we could lessen the time that the patient is there on scene. We could be obtaining vital information, getting that patient care information, so when the ambulance arrives, they actually can leave faster. Where right now, we're only training first aid and CPR, except for this one officer. This advanced training would allow us to do more, and we think would be a benefit to the community. As a resident, I live here. I love this. If my family or friends get sick, a lot of times we're already on street, sometimes we're closer. And obviously with the caveat, through a standard operating procedure that could be developed, would limit those instances to when we should or could respond, and obviously maintaining our law enforcement priority. We're under no illusion that we would want to neglect that in any way.
Connie?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So are you saying that you just want to have the training in the event that, like, say you're driving your car down the road and you see somebody pass out or something and you could save someone's life, because before you would call like 911, there you are right there. Is that what you're saying? Like, could be, or like a car accident.
Yep, those instances would be included. Right now, if you operate at a training level above first aid and CPR, you have to be licensed through the state, and then you're supposed to operate under an emergency medical service agency who's licensed. So for us to get that advanced training, we need to be operating on a credentialed agency. Our police department is not an EMS agency, so that's why we would ask for this partnership with Lawn. It would just allow us to take advanced action, and in some instances, potentially life-saving.
Right, yeah.
Did you have a question? I saw another
And I'm
hand.
speaking for myself,
Yes.
not the fire company. That was going to be one of my questions, because if you want to become certified QRS, you have to have a specific vehicle that meets that criteria and carries such amount of equipment. I mean, these guys can have their own bags and their own police cars. I mean, if they would be part of the fire company QRS and just get dispatched at the same time, we would know there's already an EMT or something heading to the scene. And instead of us maybe waiting a little more delayed response, get the truck and the equipment to them. So that would be, in my opinion, something that might be helpful as well.
And that was my concern when when the idea was first floated, it was for a QRS, and I said, well, wait a minute, I'm not a big proponent of the QRS situation. Originally, the last thing we need is another unit, being dispatched to, some calls that may or may not need it. So this was kind of the back version, but I think all that could probably be worked out with, what you're gonna respond to. And that was my only concern. I don't really think we need another unit per se being dispatched to medical calls. I know that, just looking at our EMS stats, it's lots of taxi servicing and a lot of frequent flying. But as far as the other stuff, accident scenes, I mean, it's usually order of arrival on scene. It's usually police or fire or, vice versa, and then EMS, so.
And obviously, we run into those instances too, where maybe Lawn EMS is already tied up on the call, and if the Palmyra unit is also tied up, now we're waiting on Hershey, potentially Middletown.
Yeah, I think that.
Especially depending on the proximity where we're at, if we're paying attention and we already know that, they're stripped of EMS, we would know, hey, this is probably a call we want to get to, where we might have a pretty substantial impact.
There was 11 incidents last month that, that our ambulance, that Lawn ambulance was busy, and they were covered for somebody else, so.
So I don't want to, we didn't have a chance to look over
Yeah, I would say-
the MOU. I got the initials right this time. But it sounds like none of us are really opposed to you starting classes. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for,
I mean,
I'm not opposed, I think we just need to work out with the chief to make
Yeah, it
sure
might
that
be a
we can.
scheduling or management as to when they're off. I don't know anything, or budgetary. I mean, I wouldn't know when.
Yeah, I don't think we're asking to change scheduling or anything else. I think we're just giving people that wanna do a little more an option, if they can.
Yes, Connie?
How long do you have to do this?
To be certified as an emergency medical technician, that one starts September 12th and ends in mid-February. Requires Tuesday and Thursday nights and one Saturday a month. The EMR blended program starts in October, ends in December. That's a lot of online learning with 5 in-person appearances for training at the Harrisburg Academy. So we'd have one going to one, I'd be attending the other. And again, it would be all on our own time. As far as scheduling, we would obviously want to work that out with the chief and figure out, depending on overlap and how things work out, there's a number of options available to us. But as much on our own time as humanly possible.
Do we need to make a motion for anything for that?
I mean, as to the MOU, I guess we're holding off, but as to, you said there's 2 members of the department?
Yes, myself.
I mean,
and
we're
Southwest.
not paying for it, we're not,
Well, that's a question. Are you expecting what's the cost, and are you expecting the township and or the department to pay for the cost?
No,
Okay.
we are looking at a donation. The training would be free of cost. The additional equipment we want to put in the patrol vehicle would be free of cost to the township. The only thing that the township could potentially, and that would something we'd have to work out, is when we have overlap shifts where 2 officers are on, there's potentially training occurring simultaneously. So we'd want to look at what are our options there. Does the officer need to take vacation to do that? Or is the township willing to allow that officer maybe attend 1 hour of a shift at that training? Or if it's not, then we'll have to come up with another option.
The other thing is, how is this going to affect our insurance?
We don't think it would, because we'd be operating under Lawn's umbrella at this point. That Lawn is the EMS agency, so the instant the officer would begin to act above and beyond the first aid, they'd fall under Lawn.
That's assuming the MOU, I'm assuming that's what you're assuming.
Yes.
But what I'm hearing right now is you're not asking anything from them at this point other than to look at this MOU and consider this.
Right.
And the training, you're not asking for them to reimburse you or pay for it. It's something that you're going to do on your own. So I'll be honest with you, if that's something that you want to do on your own accord, you don't need any action from this board. If you want to proceed and start the training with the understanding that the board's going to start looking at this and consider it, that's fine. I don't think you need them to authorize you to go to the training.
Well, because we have an organization within the township that is willing to front this money, we're accepting money, so we want to make sure that we're all good with that, you know.
The association is accepting the money at this point, though.
Right.
Mhm. Does that have,
We wanted a more formal clarification tonight at the meeting, because there's been a number of communications back and forth, so that's why we came tonight with the understanding we knew we couldn't make the September 25th meeting.
Can you sign this?
I have the sign-in sheets, but I'm writing their names down. Yep.
With the understanding also that donation and any of our finances that we spend are completely open to the board or anybody else for inspection to show what we're doing.
Is there still any restrictions on that?
The donation was made to, I don't know if we're going to, was it donated to the department or donated to?
Police Association.
So it's not part of the police budget?
Correct.
Okay. I still don't think you need, I don't think you're going to get a definitive, yes, we're moving forward with this MOU and this arrangement tonight. And it sounds like more and more that's what you're trying to get. I don't think you're going to get that tonight. But if you're just asking, hey, we're going to take this money that was donated to the association, not the department, not the township, to the association, with the understanding that it's going to be used for the training of some of our officers that want to go on their own time and volunteer, I don't think you need approval from this board to do that.
Well, we also wanted to bring up if it was going to be denied outright.
I don't think we know that.
Right, well, then we were going to obviously not accept this organization's
Right.
funding. We didn't want to go into this with a false expectation.
It
I
sounds
would
to me
describe
like,
it, yeah, as
we're-
very, very optimistic that we can work something out.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I ask a question, Jerry?
Is this for?
yeah,
How often is the recertification and what is the cost? Like, would that still be covered by donations?
But continuing education occurs, it's my understanding, it's a few hours per year. I think it's a total of, for EMT, I think it's 24 hours. 2 or 3 years, don't quote me on that. But the cost should be minimal. And we plan on right now, our association will absorb absorb that cost.
There's a lot of that out there that's free, you know, through the fire and EMS organizations or very low cost.
Sounds good.
Pat Krebs.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I did an email to you earlier in the week or last week about Lemon Valley Bike Coalition wanting to provide a free bike rack
Yes.
to the township for the community park, and this is just the formal letter from the president of the organization. So if you decide to accept it, then we will have E&E Metal Fab construct it and eventually deliver it.
Okay. We'll put it on workshop or else the next regular meeting, one or the other, to discuss it.
Okay?
Yeah?
If you have any questions?
I don't know if this is without reading the whole way, I was a little confused whether you were asking for our approval to ask the bicycle club, or they were approving it, you were asking?
Well, they've approved it.
Okay,
They just wanted to know if you would accept it.
okay.
And so I'm showing you photographs from Palmyra Library, Hershey Library, and the middle school, Palmyra. Those are ones we've given to in the past. Any Metal Fab builds them to meet national specs so that they are designed correctly. And E&E Metal Fab gives us a little discount compared to what you would buy it on the private market. So that's it. And they're willing to deliver, and you can see it's a big truck, not easy for the township to go and pick up.
So where would it go?
The community park?
Right, I mean, where, I guess, where,
Well, that would be.
Well, that's what we need to look at.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
apologize, I did get the email and then I didn't think to put it on the agenda for tonight, so I didn't look at the map and any proposed areas to put
I
it.
mean, it could go into a paved asphalted
Got it.
space if you wanted to use that, or it could go into the gravel. It's so heavy that it's not likely going to be wandering off.
okay.
And so
It'd be nice to
it's-
put it somewhere paved, so I don't have to mow around
Yeah.
it.
It-
Oh, yeah.
Or gravel,
Yeah.
one or the other, but we need to look at that.
So that's we're encouraged, the organization's encouraged with what you've been doing, and so this is, we appreciate it. And we also like to make sure bicyclists have a good place to park their bikes safely.
Okay.
The other little piece I'd like to bring up personally is that last meeting, you received a letter from a constituent or a resident who was concerned about the traffic signal at Forge and 322 and not being able to have a left turn signal. There's a left turn lane, but not a left turn signal. So you're often stuck there and then having to sort of dash on orange or yellow. I was misunderstanding the person, and I talked to them since. I also talked to Scott Galbraith afterwards by email, because I thought it was the other problem which we face constantly, which is when you're driving west on 322 and you want to turn left onto Forge Road, there's no turn signal. There's no arrow to allow you to go. You have to wait, and often you're taking that chance because you're hoping that person coming towards you, coming from the west, isn't going to run the yellow because they don't want to sit and wait for the red. So one or two of us will get through, but the rest of us won't. So if you're going to be looking at that signal and the turn opportunities for motorists and bicyclists, that would be great if you look at both left turn lanes to see if there could be a signal. The other little piece that we just handed out as CAA is you're talking about working with Red 2 to look at crosswalks throughout the municipality or Campbelltown. So we put a list together of ones that we thought ought to be considered as non-engineers or traffic engineers, and we presented that to you tonight. And it's a letter to say we'd like to work with you.
Thank you. I'll only make one comment about the left turn signal there. I'm kind of concerned that the reason why it's so busy right now is because 422 is closed. I don't know if that happens on a
Years.
normal basis or not, but,
Yeah, it's more now, but it's years. And we turn there because we hesitate to go further west to Lawn and stand in line to wait for the opportunity to turn left on the lawn because we worry about being rear-ended or having a motorist go around us who's wider than they think they are and then they scrape our sides. So, and then you have the poor motorist on Lawn Road wanting to get out, but they can't get out because we're standing there waiting to get into Lawn. So we hate to go through Stone Knoll because that adds traffic to the neighborhood. But it's been doing it for years, obviously a little more now.
okay, any other public comments Anybody want anything else?
Jane Popko,
Yes.
I just wanted clarification on minutes from 2016 in relation to the pavilion in Campbelltown Park. There was a resolution passed on 07-2016. And it says Sean said they are looking for a $21,200 grant for the township, from the Lebanon County Commissioners Marcellus Shale Fund, and the township would have to pay $10,700. And the resolution says the total project would be $42,400. And this resolution was approved to request $21,200. And it was approved by Orley, Cheney, and you. And then in the 614 minutes, Sean said we've received another grant of the amount of $7,000, and we received one last year in the amount of $7,500. And Dave Buckingham from the Sun said they would donate $1,000. So what I'm asking is, in relation to the pavilion, did we get $21,200, or did we just get $7,000 and $7,500?
We actually got nothing because we don't have the matching money to accept the grants.
So is the money still available?
We have asked for extensions over and over again, yes. So as far as I know, if we ask for another extension, we will be granted that, but until we have the matching money, we
And
don't
it's
have the
set.
physical money.
And it says the total project for pavilion was $42,400.
That was Sean's proposed pavilion, yes.
And can that be done for a lot less?
But we
If
still
he-
have to match it.
Change the dimensions of what he was asking, yes.
Okay, and what are we getting for the, from the people that are using the soccer fields? It's supposed to be $5,000
No.
a year,
Maintenance, they provide.
They're maintaining the park.
but they're not paying you anything extra?
No, they're taking care of the fact that we don't have to hire our guys to mow that lawn and maintain it.
They're actually mowing more than what
Yes.
they're using, so they're maintaining the park.
Okay, so can those funds be directed, since you're not using them for that? Can it be,
They're being used for other projects throughout the township. They're-
It was a way for the township to save money that way, yes. And I did propose a different plan for a pavilion. I don't remember when that was, but it was rather
2 years
recent.
ago.
And I tried to get money from another company, Williams, that does grants that Mr. Hauser recommended, but we were denied that. So we're still short $10,000 even with reducing.
so are you still pursuing to get the pavilion put in there, since it was supposed to have been done like sometime in 2016?
If you find someone that wants to donate $10,000, we will definitely entertain the pavilion. Yes.
Okay.
If somebody wants to donate the $10,000 that we're missing, that'd be great. Is that you, Dal?
No, please. No, I was gonna say, I know the township did try to start a GoFundMe to get
Yes.
funds that way, and it just kinda didn't go anywhere, so.
No.
$25.
Yeah, it just kinda didn't grab the attention.
I've done Marcellus Shale grants before, one for another organization, and we were allowed to use in-kind. Otherwise, the amount of labor that we put into the project, so that reduced our financial
Yep,
costs.
that's
so
taken
that-
into what I proposed before.
So
Yeah.
if you have an in-kind amount,
I put that in the numbers, but we're not doing $10,000 worth of labor.
oh, no, but it would reduce the
Yeah,
cost.
yes, and now that we potentially have a bike rack, because the one that I originally proposed also had bike racks in there, so that would reduce it, but it's still, I mean, that's still a minimal amount.
So if
We're
you give
still-
us an invoice for $10,000 for the bike rack, we should get. Paid,
There's a
paid.
limit.
Or not, right now, yeah.
Yeah,
The original Marcellus Shale that Sean went for also had in-kind
Sure, they all
included in the calculations, yes.
yeah, it's just still a matter of, you still need the money to buy the stuff, so.
But we didn't get the $21,200, we just got two amounts of $7,000 and $7,500.
We did not get two amounts, we only have two grants.
Available to
One
us.
at the amount of 7,000 and one at 7,500.
Okay.
Oh, I thought she was saying two 7,000 grants.
No, one for $7,000 and one for $7,500, and none for $21,200.
I don't know where that 21,001 number,
The original
Came
grant
from.
was supposed to be 21,000 and they reduced it to
Ah.
the 7,500, I think is what we actually received from them.
Okay.
but we didn't get them because we didn't,
Right,
yeah.
I mean.
They're
it's-
available,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other public input? Yes, Myron.
Hi, Myron Komarnitsky. I seem to be, my property seems to be in question a lot lately. To the CCAs, has brought it up to the township. I've just been recently acknowledged their existence and also their concern about the bridge apparently I have over Little Creek that gives access to this Campbelltown Park. I'm publicly asking the CCA to revamp, pull the pictures off of your Facebook page of that because it is creating a hassle for me and my family. I'm also creating, it's a concern now that it is bringing everyone to light that I was nice enough to go out, find something to provide this access, and it's going to and it's also going to cause me to pull it due to your actions. So if there's anything I need to do township-wise, I apologize. Just trying to do something nice for the community, give them access across my property. And now it seems to be like, like I said, no good deed goes unpunished.
Okay,
We have pointed out in the past in numerous conversations here publicly that it is private property, just so you know, we didn't direct anyone.
No, I understand that, and I made it clear to them when they contacted me that it's like, I am a full 110% supporter of South Londonderry Township and the board. I just trying to do something nice, and it all of a sudden becomes like a spectacle. And I know DEP regulations probably better than most people in the room from working with DEP. I know what I was putting myself up against, but again, I was just trying to be nice. So now I'm putting myself up against, there's insurance issues, there's water flow issues, there's all the other issues, all just because of this. I just want to publicly announce that I'm going to pull it.
okay.
And I don't want anybody walking across that.
Any other public input?
And in relation to that, I had given you a picture of a bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and you said that it could be an Eagle Scout project, and you would look into putting it where it would be on township property and not private property.
Let me jump in on that because you guys seem to not understand DEP at all. DEP is worried about water flow, water restriction, and water disbursement, and their regulations of a moving non-navigable stream. If you put something across it, it has to meet all their standards. Are you going to pay for all the everything that goes into that? Because me as a taxpayer, I'm trying to be nice. Now I'm not going to. But I'm not going to also want my taxes raised just to go over to a park that I don't use. There's a lot of money that's going to be taken just to get that Eagle Scout project approved by the DEP to put it there. Then after that, then there's maintenance and cost and upkeep. Is that Eagle Scout going to do it for the rest of his life? No. I'm an Eagle Scout myself. I've done many Eagle Scout projects. I still probably help when I can. But no, that's a lot of maintenance, and that's a lot of worry that I would put across the township. I mean, you have a big, beautiful park and a big parking lot there. Use it.
There was an Eagle Scout that approached me about that, and he was going to take it back and see if that was something that he wanted to attempt. But I have not heard back from him, so.
It's not, he's not interested in these.
I don't know. He hasn't responded one way or the other. I told him to put all the information over to him. I gave him the DEP contacts. I gave him Ritu's information. Ritu was nice enough to give us a general idea of how much a wetland delineation would cost. I gave him all the information as far as it would go, and
So until he gets back to you, it's not going any further.
You can't go any further.
no.
Can't do it. Not
I'm
until
wondering if
DEP gives
this
the blessing for one, and then
needs to
there's
be
whatever funding.
Yeah, there's a permitting that would have to go, and I'm not sure. I haven't heard from him on what he has decided, one way or the other.
But there, but if it would go through, there is a place to put it on township property and not his private property.
Yes, there is a section that is owned by the township. If you're looking at your property to the left of his property, there is a small section that the township owns, correct? Mhm. Any other public input? Yes.
And I think you said that at the last meeting that a municipality doesn't have to pay for the cost of a permit.
Yes, that would be waived from what I understood from the DEP. But if you were to do that, you would be stuck with a very expensive permit.
Just for a
Yes.
permit, then you get denied.
Yes.
Because they will make you pay, and then if you get denied, thank you for your money.
Well,
Yes.
the permit fee is waived, but the study is not, and the engineering
Right.
is not, and the maintenance is not.
It's not, correct. So, all right, moving on. The changes to the agenda, is this the correct agenda?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so August,
Who has the correct one that was.
and everyone out there, okay. Randy, I saw your hand up a while ago. Did you have something? I'm sorry.
I had some questions on in the net waiver. It's kind of subdivision related. Be happy to wait till that.
Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on, August 13th minutes. Can I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And July 18th special meeting minutes, do I have a motion to approve those?
Do we need to approve those? It wasn't our,
I don't
Did
know.
not approve them at the last meeting because somebody didn't have time to read them. I can't, it would have been you because you were the only other one there.
and I don't, I mean, it wasn't our
Public-
meeting.
But it was a public meeting held here.
So do we have to approve minutes just as,
Wait, whose minutes are they?
Yeah, it wasn't on.
I don't know whose minutes they are. Are they ours
My
because they're in the building?
It was a public meeting advertised that it was at our township building in regard to township, a bridge that they're looking to close.
Was it a Board of Supervisors meeting?
No.
No.
Then I don't think there was anything. You approved your public Board of Supervisors.
Yes,
Right.
this was a separate meeting on July 18th that Jack and I just so happened to
go
attend.
It wasn't your meeting. It was some other entity.
It was a very interesting, it was
the
three
joint
different,
public-
Yes.
Yes.
It was,
Road Bridge meeting.
it was Mountjoy Township, Commonwealth Township, and South Londonderry.
It was an advertised meeting in the event there was a quorum of the board there.
It was advertised?
Yes.
How was it advertised?
I advertised it in the Sun, just like a regular meeting, because it was a public meeting, because all of Conowaga's
Board was there.
here, and
Right.
We
we
were
were
there.
here, yes.
I don't think we
It was
deliberated
more
about
of an
anything.
informational gathering meeting,
No.
a
Yeah, there was
business meeting, if you will.
no decision, nothing was made at the meeting, it was just that,
A time for everybody to speak on basically their,
No township action was taken.
none.
Yeah, I don't think you need to vote on any minutes. for that.
okay. All right. Moving on to bill and payroll 1619, do I have a motion to approve that?
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And also 1719, a motion for that.
Aye.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And Jenna, we are on to your report.
All right, I have placed a note on the website that the agendas, because I get several emails for them before the board meetings, that they are now going to be up on the board, or up on the website on noon, the day of the meeting. What happens is the agendas change several times before that time, so just to give us time to nail one down and not have to go through this, we have revised agendas. So that'll be available by noon. If it's not, email me at that point. Lebanon County Township, Lebanon County Association of Township Officials will have its annual convention for township officials to attend, and that will be on October 10th. That means that the office will be, I'm not sure if Scott will be in that day, but the other members of the office, we have one out, and then some members will be out of the office. So I anticipate the office being closed from 8 to 2 p.m. that day. I will have a notice on the website in regard to that. Prospect Road, we did receive a letter from Mountjoy just to give an update, noting, and I sent a copy to the board, they noted that there was a fix that could be completed to the bridge to keep it open for a few more years at a cost of about $30,000. We have not received a final report on that at this time. So once I receive word, I will report back.
Jenna, do you know in the past, like, I mean, I get the feeling from some of their wording, like they're expecting us to pay for something.
We don't have any, other than our residents,
Yeah.
living, we have not been asked, they have not even alluded to that,
Okay.
as far as I'm.
I just, in reading some of those in the comments, I just kind of got that feeling, and I just didn't, I couldn't imagine we were, or if there was any past practice, or I wasn't aware. Okay.
Anything else?
That's everything, thank you.
Yes, Connie?
Jenna, I have a question. At the planning commission meeting, we had discussed openly there with Mr. Weaver about sidewalks, parking for Paramount. I don't know if you recall that.
For Paramount or in the net?
In the net, sorry. In the
Okay.
net. There was some discussion, because people were parking over there, and they shouldn't have been parking, so there was a long discussion about that. Do you recall that?
There was a lot about sidewalks and parking. I'm not sure specifically where they weren't supposed to be parking that they were. I know they were
Right,
parking
'cause
on
they were talking
airport.
about different sidewalks. It wasn't, we left there and it was still not decided about the sidewalks and stuff, but there was talk about people parking in that area that you shouldn't be parking, and about parking tickets,
Right,
right?
yes.
And then you had mentioned something about, there was discussion about parking tickets going from $15 an hour to $20 an hour.
Not an hour per instance.
I'm sorry, $15 to $20.
No,
Yeah, that was
20 or
what-
25.
Or 15 to 20, it was 20, but
Okay.
anyway. When was that discussed? Because I was looking through the minutes and I did not see any talk about parking tickets going up. So when was that discussed?
I believe I said that it was going up. I didn't say that we had the ordinance that was passed, that it is.
No, I
They're
just said it was
looking
an
at
ordinance.
increasing the price on the parking ticket, and I think it has to do with the,
No, it wasn't about an ordinance. It was about, you said to the board, and there's still, he's sitting over there. You said to the board about, that there has been some discussion about the parking tickets going from $15, which is what it is now, to $20. And I went through the minutes, and I'm just wondering when that was
that's what I'm
talked.
telling you, it has not been completed yet. There was discussion about that going up. It wasn't from the board discussion. It was something, I'm trying to remember if it was in the zoning review that they were doing, or that it was something in there. I have to look and see where that was discussed, that the price of those was going up. But it was not a board decision.
It hasn't come to us yet.
No.
I know, that's what I was wondering, because you made a comment about that, like, who did you discuss it with?
Well, there's lots of things that are discussed amongst the management and to make things work better, and I'm sure the police department discusses stuff all the time until it comes to us. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of things that happen that don't even make it to us because it's dead before it gets here.
It's in the codification. It's being bumped up, or it's potentially.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it sounds like, what I'm getting from this conversation is
Yeah.
it sounds like there was discussion at the PC with respect to management, looking at maybe some of the fees specific to parking, and maybe there's a need to increase it because 15 it's not influencing people not to park where they shouldn't be parking. The fact that it hasn't come before the board, that's okay. I mean, nothing's been adopted yet, it's just discussions amongst the staff at this point, right?
I think it has to do with the codification, that we were reviewing everything in there, and that.
Every ordinance, and that was up.
Right.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah, that's
bumping the
another-
price of the ticket up at that point. So
Yeah, I
I said
mean-
there was discussion about it. We are discussing it.
Yeah, I mean, the planning commission's going through all those.
Well, the zoning ordinance, yes,
Yeah.
but the codification
Oh,
that's
that's
going
right.
on with the township, that, we realized that there were some things that are.
Yeah, part of the codification
Well, it
process.
was, okay. She sees my point. And the other thing was, now we're approaching the budget. Last year, there was any job evaluations that were done within the township before the budget was passed, so.
That is not
The budget
true.
was passed, and then the evaluations were done after the budget, and then when I thought, well, this is ridiculous. So then I said to Jenna at the time, you're passing a budget, well, so what exactly is everybody getting as far as a raise? And she said, we're gonna just, like 3% is what they were budgeting in for the budget, because the jobs, nobody's job was evaluated after the budget was passed. So my question to you is, are you planning on doing evaluations this year before the budget or after the budget?
So we spend several months working on the budget, and we just started working on it now. And we haven't discussed the budget yet. Well, we're hoping, Jen and I were hoping to have all our numbers put in there by September workshop, possibly, but
No, the evaluations wouldn't be done before the budget, no.
it doesn't.
So simply pass,
They've been before?
there's never been any evaluations in here that were related to,
Pay
in any of the
increase.
information that I could find, there has
Pay.
never been evaluations here that were related to pay increase. So simply passing the budget with a certain percentage of increase, no longer does it guarantee that everybody here is getting whatever's in that budget.
Besides the collective bargaining agreement, that's a different situation altogether.
So how do you pass a budget based on, like in the past, this person's getting a 2%, this person's getting a 3%, this person's getting 1%. I mean, to me, that's balancing the budget. And so that's the way it's been done in the past.
It hasn't been done in the past like that. Absolutely not. There has never been, in any of the records that are here, there has never been performance pay-based reviews here, never.
Yes, that I do
One
know.
if one
Everybody
person
knew
got,
what they were getting
if it
before
was
that
in,
budget was passed.
if it was in the budget, everybody got it. That doesn't happen anymore. But we have to prepare for, because we're gonna hope everybody's gonna do a 110% great job right up through to the end of the year. Well, I know, but does your employer hope that of you? I would
No,
think,
what I'm
I would
saying
think they
is,
do.
If you're gonna do evaluations, and you're absolutely correct, evaluations were not done by previous boards. So my question is,
That's
if you're gonna be
incorrect.
doing evaluations, does it make sense to do the evaluations before?
I think first of all, we're locked into a budget process, just like a corporation will be locked into, like, anywhere I worked in private industry, no, it doesn't work like that. They pass a budget saying, hey, this is how much we have. And it's based on number of employees and percentage, but not everybody gets the same percentage, and you don't necessarily use the whole pool, and then you just carry it over. But you have to have a number, because everyone's review is different, but you have to have a number.
And I'm asking for that number to be, when I talk to other townships about this, that's the way, they know when the.
What other townships
I'm not
that you
even
know
gonna
of?
speculate. I'm not gonna speculate.
I don't know any other townships that have gone to a review and it's based on your pay increase. Every
What I'm
government
saying
entity
is,
that I know does
if you're gonna do a
a
job
straight across
evaluation,
percentage.
They should probably start maybe October, and then whether or not somebody's getting 3%, 2%, 1% by the time you pass the budget.
I'm
Well-
curious what difference it makes.
So I just want to
The
say,
budget.
as somebody who worked for the Hershey Company, right, and any company I'm aware of, the budgeting process is separate from the employee evaluation process. So the budget numbers are submitted typically fall time frame, end of year. Job evaluations happen usually in the new year. They're separate, and so the money that goes to increases is just a number that's estimated at that point. So they're independent events, basically.
So to reverse it for you, we can't give them raises until we have the budget approved to have the money there.
That's why I would think that, that's not the way it's done, but the way that they've done it in the past.
And that's the way it's done here.
I think
Well,
it's
that's
done
what
in
you're doing
every
it, but that's not the way it's
corporation.
been.
I think a lot of places have their budget done, North Londonderry has their budget already passed. Theirs is already completed. So how do they know what they're giving their people next year? I mean, they already know, but are they doing evaluations? We are doing evaluation, and their raises are based on their evaluations for the first time last year. every other board did evaluations, but just threw them in a drawer somewhere and didn't do anything with them.
Well, you told me we based 3%, that's what you said.
That's correct.
It's an average.
That you have to average it. There are people that got more, there are people that got less.
That's a standard practice, really, that's done
It's-
throughout
Yeah.
all sectors of the economy.
Yeah, it's,
Yes, Pearl.
Okay, so I'm a finance director.
What is your name? I'm sorry.
It's Pearl
Thank
Common.
you.
So I do financing for a living. I'm the finance director for Derry Township Municipal Authority. It's budget season now. We don't do evaluations now. Prior to Derry Township, I worked for Dauphin County as the accounting manager in the controller's office and in children and youth. Budget is separate from evaluations. Evaluations are done on an annual basis. A lot of times, typically, whenever the person is hired, you do an evaluation a year from their hire date. You can't coincide that with a budget. A budget is simply a projection of what you feel you're going to spend and what you feel is going to be the revenue potentially coming into the township or wherever it is that you work. So the 3% is a national average pay raise that is given to salaries. We do it at the municipal authority too. When I go to do the budget for our salaries, it's going to be a 3.1. It's probably going to be the average. But other people might get a 7% or a 5% if they're getting promotions, or some people might get less if their evaluations don't warrant the 3%. So that's why the 3% is used as an average. You still end up in the long run being within whatever you've projected as your salary. So no, you don't need to do evaluations before doing the budget. A budget is hard enough to try to do, let alone trying to do an evaluation at the same time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Going under that same assumption that you have to have the pay correct or 100% accurate. So we, lost an employee that was making, let's say, I don't know, $18 an hour and replaced her with a $15 an hour. Did I have to hire her at $18 an hour just to have my budget correct? No. We're able to save the township some money. So under your, it doesn't, it's just an average. It's just
It's a tool to keep us on track.
Right.
And depending on what board you have, they're either going to go above it or below it. And I know my goal is to constantly stay under it because I don't feel that I want to raise taxes to cover stuff that's not worth it. So, I mean, we need to just be mindful of that. I don't know if that answers your question. I've completely lost where we are
yes.
on the agenda here. Did we only just get through Township Manager
Yes.
report?
Zoning code.
Okay, zoning and code enforcement officer is not here. She did turn in a report. There was a hearing on August 21st. There were 4 hearings and all relief was granted. Is that on public knowledge yet? Is that out?
Not August, they would not be approved
Yes.
at this point, right?
Okay. All right, so once those get approved, we'll put those, do we put them on the website? Where do they
We
go?
do, yes.
Okay. All right, moving on. Patrick, do you have anything?
Thank you. Nothing specific, but there are items further down on the agenda that I'll probably chime in on.
And we do need to meet for a short period after the meeting for an exec on personnel.
Personnel.
Yes. Police department, chief.
Yes. During the month of August, officers patrolled 4,700 miles in police vehicles, reported on 270 incidents, made 5 criminal arrests, issued 114 traffic citations, 3 non-traffic citations, and gave 30 warnings for traffic violations. Just a brief report on the art show, now being referred to as Carmageddon with the traffic backups that we had. The art show committee is aware that this year's plan did not work. They had done away with busing and had all parking down right near the show. So the combination of decent weather, record turnout, and no buses made for some long waits, and we've already met to try to just figure out some ways to address that, probably with buses being incorporated again for next year, but they do apologize for anybody in the area who was inconvenienced by the backups, whether going to the show or not. And that's all I have.
Okay, I'm glad they recognize that, and I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah.
they're gonna
There were
pow
people
out
who
to find
made
a
sure they
solution.
recognized it.
I was out of town and was hearing about it when I was out of town, so, yes, Connie?
The robberies that took place over there on 117.
Yeah, thank you. That was something else I wanted to mention. There was a rash of vehicle entries a couple of weekends ago in Forest Ridge Development down on Beach, Darlene, Deborah area. About 17 or 18 vehicles entered, so I caution people to lock your vehicles. All of the cars were unlocked that were entered, so that's a pretty easy way to prevent that. But just be aware of things like that, and extra lighting outside is very helpful too. A couple of big dogs maybe.
Did you have a question about it?
Yeah, how many police officers were on duty that night?
I suspect
Is it appropriate to release
Sergeant
that
Castle.
information?
from video we got,
Oh,
was it after 1 o'clock?
That's a good question.
Is it appropriate to release that information, Chief?
We're not releasing the schedule ahead, it's more of a, I mean, I don't,
It's probably no. The usual, we weren't depleted at that time, which was.
I think our manpower is,
A mystery?
yeah, it's not a secret.
Yeah,
And it wasn't just one night.
yes.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to Public Works. Did he have anything, I mean, he has a report in here. Anybody see anything specific that we need to highlight? Nothing that he had to report exactly. All right, moving on. Public Library, Kendra, hi.
Hi. The Palmyra Library Board met on August the 20th and will meet this month on September 17th. The July annual book sale brought in $10,678, which was about $1,000 more than last year, considering we had fewer items for sale, but we made more money. The library's capital campaign has raised $448,450 in the silent phase. The public phase has just begun with the hopes of raising around $52,000 to meet the $500,000 goal, and there are still several naming rights available. The annual fund drive mailers will be sent out in the fall. The summer learning program served 556 children. These children read 253,760 minutes. Little Explorers learning classes for fall will begin on September 23rd. Makerspace sessions for grades 1 through 6 will take place the third Tuesday of each month at 3:30. Smart Start Storytime started today through October 8th on Tuesdays at 12:15. This is for babies and toddlers. Library statistics: in July there were 16,104 visitors, the circulation of 16,718 materials, and technology use was 1,371.
Thank you. All right, Campbelltown, report, please.
For the month of August, we had 56 calls. Average personnel per call 6. Average response time 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Assisted Palmyra 5 times, Lawn 3 times, Anvil twice, Ono once, Lawn Ambulance 26, Lifeline once, Hershey 5 times. 7 building fires, 1 tree fire, 28 medical assists, 4 accidents with injuries, 1 accident with no injuries, 1 public service, 1 water main break, 7 canceled en route, 3 automatic fire alarms, and a carbon monoxide alarm.
Thank you. Lon.
So 171 EMS calls for the month, 19 fire calls, 3 buildings, 1 brush, 2 MVAs with injuries, 2 without, 1 hazardous condition. We had 4 power lines down, 4 dispatch canceled en routes, 3 of those Lancaster County, 2 to South Danville, 2 to Mount Gretna, 2 to West Cornwall, and 10 here at home in South Londonderry.
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec?
We did meet.
Nice.
So, yes, and talked about some upgrades that the school district is doing that will help out the rec at the different facilities. Also talked about renting out bocce, shuffleboard, horseshoes in conjunction with the borough at Memorial Park. Memorial Park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we went over had a very successful summer camp season, so.
Good.
Above projections, so.
Okay, thank you. So in our packets, I had the Planning Commission meeting minutes and the Zoning Hearing Board meeting minutes. Fire Board, Jack
There was no quorum, no meeting.
stood in for me. I was not able to attend and there was no quorum, so he was happy to attend that meeting for me.
That's great.
Moving on, township officials, do either of you have anything? Bill?
No, I just think it's something that was mentioned earlier, which is the amount of traffic right now on 322. Because I know someone mentioned a little increase. I think that's incorrect from what I'm hearing.
I was trying to be
It's-
moderate.
It's
I was trying to-
substantial, I think substantial increase in traffic with 422 being unavailable till at least, when did they say? I mean, it's
November sometime was
November.
last I heard.
So just for everyone to be careful and be aware. I'm sure you guys have noticed that as well.
And try to be patient. There's still kids trying to get on the school bus.
Yep.
It's crazy in the morning. All right, moving on to subdivision. Yes, Connie?
I just want to ask the board, when you do the evaluations, do you guys sit in with Jenna, or does she do the evaluations herself?
Last year, you did the evaluations and we discussed them with
I did
you.
evaluations for the admin department, Scott did them for his department, Regal did them for his department. So everybody did them, I reviewed them, and then we sat together and reviewed each individual one.
Can we?
Sat with the board.
Can we move on down the agenda? There's appropriate places for this. I'm not trying to cut off, but a lot of people are sitting here waiting for us to go through the agenda. So, like in the public comment and when it's appropriate, I think we're all patient here and we all answer questions. But please,
Okay, well,
there's a lot of people here.
There's good and welfare at the end. We can open it up then. So moving on to subdivision and Saldo review, we have the Weiler poultry operation financial security release. I saw it in an email. I'm sure it's in the pile here, but Randy, do you want to, were you here to speak on that or not? Okay, all right, I forgot what you were here to speak on anymore.
No, he is not.
Yes, and it was just recommending, Hanover was recommending that we
Release.
thank you, release the security of $128,858. And so do I have a motion to do that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any questions on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on, Northside Crossing, Phase 3 and 5 financial security release. Do I have that in here
You do,
somewhere?
it's on your desk, it was one of the packets that I had.
Sorry.
It's in the form of an email, and it has a letter from, or an email from Randy on the top.
Here it is.
And the reason
Got it.
that Hanover is doing these is because they're closing out the ones that they were in charge of in the beginning, so.
Okay. So this is the first time I'm seeing this. Does somebody want to discuss this, talk about it, bring me up to speed on it?
Well, this was a reduction that was actually done back in 2017, and this was their 18-month that they have to hold the bond. But this part of this development is private, so I don't know that we need to hold any financial security on it any longer for a private road that we never took dedication of. So they're asking for the release of their 2 financial securities that they had left over for Phase 3 and Phase 5 specifically. Randy's initial letters from 2017 are included with the email for the initial decrease, leaving the current amounts of $13,385.35 and $132,595.65. So they're asking those to be released at this point because it is past the year and a half.
So, okay, so what they're, I'm trying to look through the email train. What they're requesting is to release the amount that was posted at the maintenance bond.
Right.
They're not asking for what was posted in association with the construction of the improvements. They're asking for the release of the maintenance bond amount.
Right, the bond reduction, bond release, yes.
And the time, the 18-month time period for that maintenance bond has expired, and they're asking to release that money. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay, and I guess my final question is, if that's the case, is anyone looking through, they're not public roads, but they're roads, are there any issues, has anyone looked at them?
Scott looked at them and said that there were no issues with them that he saw.
The only thing I saw, Jenna, was the E there, where Randy references he thinks that the fees would have been paid.
Yes, they
confirm
were,
that.
yes.
Questions, Patrick?
No, I mean, if this is releasing the 18-month maintenance bond and the 18 months have passed and the improvements are completed and there are no issues, and if Scott or Hannah, I'm not sure who, but if someone has signed off on it and recommended the release, and like Jack brought up, if all of the outstanding reimbursement invoices have been paid by the applicant, I don't, looking at what I have in front of me this evening, I'm not aware of anything that would prevent it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Soldier Field Stormwater Plan. Do we have somebody here for that? Hi.
I'm Steve Gergley, Harbor Engineer.
Yes.
I could put this up on the board if you'd like. There's not much to see. It's just a drain swale.
Sure, if you want to put it on the chair there.
Right behind him.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I didn't know you moved that in here.
This one, no. No. No, we do have an agreement for that. No.
So I'm here on behalf of the Pennsylvania Chautauqua Association. They purchased the Soldiers Field north of Mount Gretna, 18 acres bounded to the north and east by Timber Road, and then the creek to the south. And this is simply a stormwater management plan for some diversion of existing stormwater that comes on to the field. There's no proposed impervious surfaces, no proposed development as part of this. There's an existing swale, existing culvert that comes across the road. It's an 18-inch culvert. It's partially blocked currently, and what happens is water tends to go through the field and create certain areas of erosion. This plan that we've submitted just creates a swale outside of the public right-of-way on the Soldiers Field to divert water from Timber Road and clean out and open up the culvert underneath Timber Road, put a riprap apron to disperse some of the erosion there, continue the channel to the east, put a water quality best management practice forebay area to help filter pollutants, and then the water would sheet flow through the wooded area and then into the roadside swale. So the water is going to end up in the same spot that it currently does. It's just diverting it around the field to keep the field in a better, drier condition. We're not asking for any modifications. It's just the stormwater plan. The only reason I think it qualified as a stormwater management plan is because of the earth disturbance. We're disturbing over 5,000 square feet of ground. Therefore, this plan was required. So we submitted that. Jim's office has done a review. He reviewed it not for pre-development versus post-development runoff calculations, but simply for conveyance to make sure that we sized the facilities correctly. So we got his letter a few weeks ago. We made a resubmission late last week. I think that's in your packets here. Primarily administrative items, a few small design items, just a few tweaks here and there, but I would say nothing major that we can't comply with. So we would ask for conditional approval of the stormwater plan.
Did you have anything to add
No,
this evening?
We've looked at it. There are a few minor design issues. We did receive the resubmission. We haven't had a chance to process that, but we've worked with Steve a number of times, and we've had discussions in terms of resolving the conflicts. So if this board is comfortable moving this project forward with conditional approval this evening, we're comfortable with that.
Okay. And can you repeat the beginning of your presentation? There is no impervious improvement happening on this property?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
There was rumor run rampant
And
that
there's-
that was not the case.
And truth be told, there may be in the future, we may be back for something like that, but this
At this
project
point.
is only for the conveyance of
Okay.
stormwater, yes.
Thank you.
And it is gonna end up where it ends up naturally.
That's correct.
Okay.
So all the water on that track that sheds off of Timber Road heads in a southeast direction to the swale, I forget the name of it, I guess it's Timber Road.
It's still
that's
Timber
correct,
Road,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
And it makes its way down to the stream at the southeast corner of the site.
got you. Okay.
Any other questions, you two? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions from anyone?
That motion was conditional upon.
Conditional.
compliance with the August 28, 2019 review letter from R2.
Yes, thank you, Patrick.
Which would include an O&M agreement, and I saw a reference to posting some guarantee. I don't know if there's a cost estimate that's been
We
circulated.
did not get that yet. Well, actually,
was
we got-
part of the
it's the
resubmission,
second
Jeff.
submission, so we'll verify the numbers, make a recommendation back to the township.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Jenna, did you get those conditions? Okay. And then all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
Moving on to Carriage Park Phase 3. Do we have anything? Oh, we do have some update,
I
right?
do have an update.
Yes,
There
we
was
do.
an
Yay!
email that I sent to the board. We received the maintenance agreement signed for Vital and Fox for the year as the developer agreed to. We received the outstanding engineering legal bills. We received the other outstanding items that were there. I think that was the last thing we were looking for, Patrick.
What's that?
Clear title?
Yeah, that wasn't
remember, this
important.
was one, the
Was important,
property
Patrick.
being dedicated to the township for the roads and the open space. Typically, we like to see some kind of title insurance or title search or opinion of title from an attorney, and there was some pushback on that. But we did do a search, and it's my understanding
I
that
did not do a search. I received an email from the tax assessment that they were going to upset sale.
Right, but it does look, since that time, I think we've received receipts that they've paid all the outstanding taxes on the property. So, once you got your check, you got
Yes.
the agreement, we need a letter of credit to go along with the
That was
maintenance
the
agreement.
letter of credit.
Okay,
There's a letter of credit that you need, and I think, again, confirming that all the outstanding taxes on the property have been paid. I think there were, if you remember back in June or July, we discussed a couple other items that, we made concessions, he made concessions in that letter resolution. And assuming these last few ticket items are resolved and confirmed, I think everything should be okay to be released for the acceptance of the dedication and the recording of the deeds of dedication with the court. At your July 9th meeting, I think I have the resolutions and they've already been signed, and you already signed and approved the resolutions, but we were holding on to them pending these last outstanding items that weren't completed yet. So I don't know if there's anything for you to do, other than maybe if you want to now make a formal motion allowing, assuming all that gets confirmed, allowing us to release the acceptance resolution so the deed of dedications can be finally signed and recorded with the recorder of deeds.
So will we be getting
Can we,
some type of title insurance, or?
I can order.
That's up to the township.
We would have to pay for it.
What was the cost of that?
I think it's-
We usually, for roads, we usually suggest a very minimum, if you're not getting up in your title.
There is some open space.
There is open space, so that's what you really, I would say you want to, if you're gonna consider getting your own title insurance, that would probably be.
I think we should at least get a search or an opinion.
with the history, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
Exactly,
Mhm.
based on what we've been through to get to this point.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna get him to pay for
Yeah.
it if we
no,
want to move
I
forward.
agree, but
We're not getting him to pay for it.
yeah, I mean, do we have to take any action tonight on this? We've already conditionally.
There were conditions that needed to be met.
Yeah, so let them fulfill their conditions and then that's put to bed. That's my opinion.
Well, but
Are you asking-
you're asking Jenna to do a title
and we're approaching snow removal season.
Mm-hmm.
Myron wants his road plowed.
Right.
Well, I'll plow my four-wheeler.
Well, you meet again in
October.
September, but then you do meet in the beginning of October.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you want to direct Jenna to reach out, get a title search, and maybe if she wants to get quotes for the title insurance, you can do that. And then maybe at your October meeting, we'll be in a position to release everything and have it all recorded.
Yeah, I like that. That's cleaner to me.
Does that sound good to you, Jack? I think
Yeah.
that would be
I mean,
appropriate.
So I'm just getting quotes for the title insurance now, or?
You have no idea what it would cost.
Are we
I
talking
should, but
hundreds or
I-
thousands?
It's like, $800 to $1,200.
I can
In your
find
head.
out pretty quick. I can find out tomorrow.
I think it would be money well spent, even if we approve a amount up to, that hopefully will cover, up to 1,500.
I heard a little birdie over there. 1,500. Okay, do you want to make a motion to that?
I would make a motion that we, if you want to put a move out for bid, I would make a motion that we, is that an insurance or just a search at that cost?
I can find out tomorrow, pretty quick. I don't want to give you a number and then give you completely wrong.
We can table this.
We can
until
do it to the workshop,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we can do this at the workshop.
What you could authorize her to proceed with the search and potentially title insurance not to exceed a
Right.
certain number. If you have a number in mind that you think
Well,
it
would
would fall.
1,500 he
I
mentioned,
would-
do you think that?
I mean, I would prefer insurance, but honestly, that would be about my threshold. If it's more than that, I would be happy with the search, myself.
So what is the motion?
I would say just to get the pricing and we'll take action on it at the workshop.
Workshop.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Just gonna get some quotes. Okay, moving on. 2020 MMO presentation.
This is the yearly item
Mhm.
that I have to present the board.
Oh, hang on, I'm sorry. Randy, was it back on the last thing?
Randy.
If I could, please.
Mm-hmm.
This regarding in the net and the waiver request that was approved at your last meeting.
Oh,
We got a letter today emailed outlining those conditions. I just have 3 quick questions. You remember this is a seasonal structure going up. There was talk about commitment of it being taken down after the 4-month period. The letter says one of the conditions is the owner agrees to a declaration of covenant to be recorded against the property if deemed necessary by the township. I guess I just want to try to confirm, maybe not this evening, but very shortly, that is it necessary or not necessary? We have a lot of moving parts trying to get all completed in time for construction so they can use the indoor facility over the winter. So I just want to try to get that answer again, if not tonight, as quickly as possible. Second question is, one of the conditions is professional services contract. I'm assuming that covers both the solicitor and the engineer for any time they would take. We certainly can't let them go unpaid for their expert services. And I'm assuming that contract we can get through Jenna. Is that a standard
Yes.
document? And my last item is, the last paragraph says that failure to accept these conditions will void the board's action and this waiver. Is the township expecting some sort of signature? I don't believe a signature page came with a letter. An acceptance, a formal letter, we accept the conditions. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, there's nothing for, well, I think it came from Jenna, but I don't think there's anything for you to sign, just assuming that you're accepting of all the conditions, which I suspect you will be because it's a waiver letter.
I would suspect that if you want some, we'll probably give you something in writing.
Even just an
make sure.
email, versus if you got it via email, maybe a quick email response saying,
Sure.
our client has accepted the conditions and we're moving forward.
Okay.
The declaration of covenants, that is something, I mean, I'll be honest, I'd recommend it. I mean, when we're talking, when you want to enforce something on a property such as this, if at that meeting, there was a lot of discussion, there's a 4-month, right? Was it 4 months? Is that what you said?
Roughly, yes.
I think a 4-month time frame. And if you really want to hold them to that, declaration of covenants would be most appropriate. Now, if you want to, the problem with saying, well, let's see how it goes, if the title ever changes hands, or, you always kind of run that risk of getting a declaration of covenants after the fact.
can I say I didn't think that was an option? I thought we voted to have that letter done.
The
Why is
restriction.
it, what's that?
You mean the restriction?
To
Oh, the
have,
restriction's in there.
Yeah, I don't think we specified, like,
But
how
he's
that
saying
restriction's gonna
that-
be conveyed.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
If I can, Dave, I assume that your condition required some sort of agreement between the developer and the township concerning this seasonal use. My only hangup is this says here if deemed necessary.
That was my understanding, that the board's action, one of the conditions of the board's action was an agreement that spelled out the timeframe. So, because, for the reasons Patrick enumerated.
Right.
Because we all forget, I mean, there was discussion here earlier about discussion at a planning commission meeting some
Yes.
time ago, and it was cloudy.
Yes,
The
I thought we
agreement-
had an agreement that we were going to have a specific time.
Yeah, and it's the 4 months.
What am I missing?
Nothing.
Okay,
It's the document, again, the
What type of-
approval letter says
type
if
of
necessary.
Oh.
If deemed necessary.
Okay,
If
well,
township feels it's necessary, Patrick is recommending a declaration of covenants.
Yeah, we didn't
Kind of
talk-
talk about a developer.
we didn't talk
Let's- let's-
specifically
the
about that.
condition- He got a conditional approval of his waiver request.
Yeah.
And in that conditional approval letter, there are certain conditions. And one of the conditions is the 4-month timeframe that the bubble, the dome, whatever you're calling it,
Dome,
will be up. And that's fine. But if you really want to have the ability to enforce that 4-month timeframe, it's much better to have a declaration of covenants against the property than it is just your conditional approval letter.
okay.
But we didn't specifically talk at the meeting about a declaration of covenants, which is why I put it as if deemed necessary by the township.
Well-
I'm recommending it, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to the board.
I like that idea for a lot of different reasons, but most of all because I don't want to be ignored. And if we have to enforce something, or a future board has to enforce something,
What would the process be to change that? Like, say they came in and he'd come and be quiet, and it'll never happen, but if they came in and said, hey, we want to, put it up 15 days earlier and take it down 15 days later.
And if there's already, and you're saying if there's already a declaration of covenants
Yeah,
recorded
like,
against the property?
what's our ability to?
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't like doing this, but we could put some flexibility in the declaration, unless otherwise approved by the township in writing, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be the ones who's gonna enforce the declaration.
Yeah.
And if they come to you and say, hey, it turns out we wanna open it 10 days, or we wanna put it up 10 days early this year, and you're saying, okay, they put it up, at the end of the day, if you're not gonna enforce and go after them by way of how the declaration reads, and if I put some potential flexibility in that document, it's really up to you.
Maybe nobody
To enforce
cares
it.
other than me, I don't know.
I mean, we've been involved in situations where we've had things like that, and they come back in 2 years and say, you know what, this is such a hit, we want to keep this up over the summer so we can air condition it, we can do this. They can actually come back and ask the board to change those conditions. It would be another request, if you will, similar to the modification request, which allows you then to change the agreement that's recorded to reflect that. It's a relatively simple safeguard, just so a few years down the road, everybody's clear on what the board's approval was.
Okay,
I think I'll wait to get confirmation, but I think I'm hearing that the board is okay and they want the declaration.
whatever legal paper needs to be put there that says they have a 4-month period or whatever we agreed to at our last meeting, I think it was like November to
Yeah,
March.
mid-November to mid-March.
something like that.
So what I can do is I have a number in my head that I think I can put down pretty quickly, and I can circulate it to Jenna, and I'll copy Randy, probably tomorrow or the next day.
Okay. So the simple conclusion is it is necessary, and we're gonna work with Pat to
Yes.
yeah.
get it in place.
Before we do that, there's actually, are there specific dates in the letter?
This letter says 4 months, mid-November through mid-March.
Yeah, is that okay with the board?
Yeah, I'm good with
And
that,
that's okay
Jack.
with you and
Bill?
Clint?
As far as I'm- as far as
Before
I-
we record something, I want to make sure we have the time
Right,
frame.
I'll double
Okay.
check, but
Okay. All right.
Does that answer that?
yes, it does.
Okay, anything else?
No, that'll be it.
All right, now, moving on, 2020 MMO presentation.
I have in front of you 2 MMO presentations, one for the non-uniform pension plan and one for the police retirement plan. These calculations are based off of this year's payroll, and the formulas are given to us by our actuarial company. But this is just something that says that I have given the board these numbers and that they're aware of what the obligation is for the coming year.
Okay, do we need to make a motion to approve these, and do you need the numbers?
I don't, does it need to be in a resolution form? or that they have been done in a resolution form in the past. I think it was just
An approval, I think.
Was that?
I feel like it was just an approval,
Yeah,
not a formal.
I actually went through our resolution from years ago, and there was nothing in their resolution form. Yeah. It just says that I have to provide them to the board in a certain amount of time.
Questions, Patrick?
No?
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve these?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on. Police contracts. So we have met and we believe we have a contract that we are ready and prepared to sign. Do I have a motion to allow me to sign that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Question?
Yes, with the police contract, does that entail any more officers?
No.
Okay. Not even part-time?
Well, there's provisions in there for if a part-time would be approved. There's provisions in there for all sorts of things, but
I don't think the contract doesn't preclude us from
hiring a full-time or a
hiring
part-time.
officers.
We don't intend to hire full-time at this point, but there's provisions that if we were to, how that would go about.
And is the insurance changing?
What
Because it's my
insurance?
understanding that the administration gets the same type of insurance that the police officers get?
We have, the whole township is under the same, I'm assuming you're talking about health insurance? Yes, it is the same. It will be the
So anything
same.
changing with that?
I'm looking.
Not that I'm
No.
aware of.
No.
The premium will change. The premium always changes.
Right.
Right.
I'm looking,
The coverage doesn't.
We didn't change anything in there. Am I wrong in that, Jerry? Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mine Road speed limit, letter from Mr. Brown. Do you want to talk about that, Jenna? I'm sorry to rush you.
Sorry.
No, that's
Pat
okay.
had a question for me.
That's okay. Do you need me
On
to?
the new revised agenda. I'm sorry, what's your question?
It's okay, I'll handle it. Mr. Brown has requested some speed limit changes, and we talked about this at our last meeting and asked,
Bill, to
reach out. Do you want to clarify what happened in the
Yeah.
events? Because I just have this one small.
Yeah, I talked to him, he's a little confused. He said it's not a speed issue, it's a safety issue. He's concerned about the number of bicyclists that use the road, and the amount of time drivers have to react to that as they're going the posted speed limit. Obviously, his concerns are faster than that, which is 45 right now, with lower cautionary signs for the turns. But he probably has a point in that I don't know the history of the posting of that road, but there's many more driveways than there used to be, and it's probably used a lot more. Definitely by motorists, but also recreationally, joggers, bicyclists. So, and anytime somebody asks that a speed study be done by PennDOT to see if it could be made safer by lowering the speed limit, I'm in favor of that. They're the experts when it comes to that.
In your, was it an email you sent us, or what, that the adjoining municipality was going to request that, correct?
And I think that's what he told me, yeah. Mr. Brown said that.
Was that an email from
It
you?
was,
Okay.
yes. South Anvil stated that they were, and you're South Anvil over there, so they stated that they were going to send a letter. West Cornwall was not, I don't think they were.
I thought the way that I read it, that they were
were-
going to send a letter, but they
were
weren't going to
letter-
put the
They were not
signs.
going to put the signage, that's what it was.
Mhm.
The bicyclist signs.
I make a motion, we send a letter to PennDOT requesting they review it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Community tree lighting ceremony. We found a spot over in the park.
We hope.
Yeah.
It's okay with you guys. We were hoping
hoping for the community park. I sent an email to you and Jenna.
Yes.
And we narrowed it down to the township building and community park, and we think the community park is the best place for many reasons. Future electric, visibility from 322, hopefully the fire hall for festivities. I just think it'd be a great place.
So when we pulled up the map and we were looking at it, we can, you want to email her maybe where the best spot between the swales and the proposed development once we have money to do that.
I'm actually gonna, we're going to be out in the park on Friday with Kara from Route 2 anyway, looking over some MS4 things over there. So I'm gonna ask Brian from the highway to put a stake.
Even better.
And look at it, so you'll look for that.
Great, thanks. And our
Sure.
next step is Piney Tree.
Okay.
Pine.
Yeah.
Most
That's
important.
always the stickler. Yeah.
So we'll send you an email once we
Okay.
get all that together.
Wonderful.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, with that, could you maybe talk to Scott and find out what the status of, I'm pretty sure we stubbed conduit back there for electric.
There was,
And maybe we could reach out to Med Ed and start that process, because it'll take forever and a day as long about getting service there.
are we looking to do that? We'd have to pay,
Well, if, we need to know what the cost is for Med Ed so we can consider it for future budgeting. And
okay.
it'd be nice to know, because anything that's gonna take place there would be nice to know.
Okay. I do know that it was stubbed in, and I believe that,
Maybe there's just conduit there, I don't think I don't think the electric's there.
no, I don't think the electric is there either, but the,
I think it was coming from Long
is there
Road.
sewer?
I thought,
I thought
there was.
lateral was there,
Mhm.
for future. Okay, so you want me to ask Scott about, or no, contact PennDOT?
No, Med Ed.
Med Ed.
Yeah. One of them. Med Ed.
Anybody who has electric.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to DCED, study of approval. We did approve to have this done, and then I was wondering if we were doing this for just admin or admin and public works, so that's why it's back here again, so that we could discuss. I didn't know if we were doing across the board
I would
or,
make a motion, we do it across the board.
Yeah, I agree.
okay. So I have a motion. Are you seconding?
Yes.
Any
second.
questions? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
I will have Faith sign that one copy, and then I'll send that in.
Okay. Moving on here to MS4 education illicit discharge.
I'm gonna hold that off to the workshop meeting. I keep putting this off, but
It's a presentation to cover our MS4
Yeah.
permitting requirements.
Yeah.
So when anyone who wants to learn about that
I
should
also have,
come
I
to the
mean, I could
workshop.
give a small spiel here. I have a link on the website. If you go on the first page and scroll down a little bit, there's kind of a little blurb that says, do you know what illicit discharge is, and do you know how to report it? And it'll take you to the stormwater tab. And then from there, there's a file or a form that pops up that you can fill out, that if you're driving somewhere and you see that there's suds, flowing down your road, you can fill out this form and send it to the township, and then we can handle it from there. Illicit discharge is anything that is not treated water going into the stormwater system.
Grass, leaves, stones should not be going in there.
Chlorinated pool water that has not sat for 2 weeks or more, that you're trying to drain your pool into the street. You're allowed to drain it into the street, but it has to be unchlorinated, so it has to sit 2 weeks before you can drain your pool. So there's a little tab on the website that we placed on there that you can, and if you have a question and just see something, I know somebody called us about one of the local restaurants here had something coming out of their dumpster and running down the hill. So somebody called us about it, and we did contact the property owner, and they are taking care of that. So if you see something, just either give us a call, email, fill out the form. If you don't know how to fill out the form or don't know where to find the form, just call in and we'll walk you through it. It's not a big process, but we're asking residents to be a little more proactive with those kinds of items to make sure our MS4 program is running smoothly. So that's my MS4 education.
Perfect. All right, thank you. There was also information about it on your sewer bill this quarter
Yes.
also. Okay, so Carriage Park parking, this is LVSC, they're asking for some, not amendments per se, but permission to,
I guess it would be.
it's not Carriage Park, but it's Campbelltown Park
Campbelltown
parking.
Park.
Where they are using the fields over there. They have one game where they think one date where they think there might be not enough parking. He's considering trying to reschedule the actual game to reduce the amount of parking, but he was wondering if the grassy area could be used, and also if a line could be run so that people stay within the parking area and not exceed that. Am I paraphrasing that
We
correctly?
could- Yes, we
Okay.
could put an electric wire there and they would still cross it, so just, we've, on one side of the park where the stone parking is, people were parking on the walking path. So we had a complaint about that, so there's PVC chain that delineates that section of parking now. That is going to be also done on the other side. I know Pat, I think you brought it up to me that they're parking on the other side.
Yeah.
We have the materials for that, we just have to have the time to get that in. So that is on our radar. But they're asking that when you drive into the park on the right-hand side, that stone driveway, they want to be able to go a little further into the grassy area. In our current agreement, I don't know that they're allowed to go into the.
Yeah, I actually
grass.
saw it on the agenda, so I brought it, and it said, there's a paragraph on parking, it just says, there shall be no parking of vehicles or other mobile objects or structures on the grass portions of the park property unless otherwise approved by the township, and only those areas designated and approved as parking lots facilities shall be utilized the same. In the event the township approves the use of the grass areas for parking, the LVSC, which I guess is now
Iron Valley.
IVUC, shall maintain such grass areas in a manner and form acceptable to the township, and they shall not allow the grass areas to be damaged by such parking. So, in the event that you do allow them to park in a little bit of the grass area, two things I would mention. One is it somehow should be delineated out there so people stay within that area with the hope that they will. And number two, if it is damaged, if it's a muddy day and people are out there tearing up the grass, the soccer club is responsible for bringing it back to the condition it was.
Can we get some kind of financial security on that, Patrick? Is that something we can ask for? Because, listen, this was like my number one concern about this whole thing, that, you know, the parking would get out of hand. And I'm a big supporter of doing this. I mean, I was full support, but I think to, like, say, hey, we're serious about this. I don't mind expanding the parking, you know, for these guys, but I would like that.
You could absolutely say, we'll entertain it if you post a certain amount of money to ensure that it's brought back to the standards if it's damaged. Because by way of this lease, they're not allowed to do it.
Right.
You can't allow them to do it. And
Right,
if your consideration, and if you're gonna entertain allowing them to do it, you can attach whatever conditions you want, and if you want them to post a certain amount of money, you can do that.
Jen, are they asking for it all the time or just for that event in reference?
Their email just, let me see. He states that we reviewed the game schedules and we've limited 3 games to be played at the same time, which would minimize parking issues. Overlap is a concern on October 5th, where we may need overflow parking available, or I may also work to reschedule one of those games. It doesn't sound like I'm not sure how often he's asking for it. He doesn't really state that. Checking to see if we would use the grass areas to the north as overflow parking. It doesn't state how often.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in favor of it being a permanent solution. You know, if they were asking for one event a year, I personally wouldn't really have any issue with it.
And they're probably not gonna play if the condition of the fields are really
Right.
that bad. And if they're that bad, then they're probably not gonna be
Could
parking.
we look into extending that stoned-in area? I mean, regardless of whether it's this entity using the park or any other entity, they're going to have
Same issue.
the same issue no matter what we do. So do we just stone in a smaller area?
I mean,
I have to look at the master plan. I'm not sure what stormwater is under there or.
I mean, I'd say we could look at that until maybe the next agreement, if they think it's worth it, you know, perhaps we could, you know, work something out in that aspect. But I think if they're gonna use it one one, they should bear the burden of, you know, they should mark it. You know, if we're gonna let them use it for that day, they need to mark it.
Okay.
And I think if we continue really getting complaints, like, we should make them identify, like, do they physically have someone there at all times while the event's going on? You know, if we roll in there and say, hey, who's the parking coordinator, or is it gonna be there?
Right.
I think that would help, because people just park wherever they want, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if they're paying $15 parking ticket.
Yeah, they don't care, this park.
So there is, we've done this for, there is a geotextile material that's available.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the orange construction fence.
Yeah.
You roll it out on the turf, stake it in, allow the grass just to continue to grow up through it.
Right.
It's UV resistant, so it doesn't break down. Ultimately, it just gets incorporated into the turf, and it's great for this type of limited use. You know, if you're parking on it every day, you're gonna kill the grass regardless of what's there. But if it's once a week kind of thing, and even if you do have less than desirable conditions, it kind of makes up for that. The other thing that we've had people do when this kind of thing is, I mean, they're out liming the field, is they line the parking spaces. You just ask them to mark the parking spaces if they're going to use it.
For temporary solution.
Yeah, I think the key is, let's find out if are they looking at that one day or like all the time, and then kind of figure it out from there.
Well, the problem is we don't meet again until, I mean, I guess we meet at the workshop prior to the overlap issue.
I mean, I'd make a motion that if they're looking for it for one day, we allow it, and ask them to clearly delineate it and make sure that they have at least someone who's if nothing else, monitoring the parking during.
You may want someone from the township to go out. I mean, do you have an idea as to exactly where you're okay with it being? If
Well,
you're
they have to
comfortable-
coordinate.
Yeah.
They can't go too much further, or they'll be
You
on
said
the
if
path
we use
again.
the grass
They'll be
area
in your
to the north-
backyard.
To the north of the stone.
Use our driveway. Have a seat.
There you go.
How many?
Get electric paid for that Christmas light real quick.
Hey, we put an outside outlet
Yeah.
out for you to plug into the tree.
It's a long extension cord.
So how about, you know, actually, I have a couple questions on this thing.
I
Yeah.
have a motion, just so we know.
Oh.
There's a motion on the
Yeah,
table.
so
That was your motion.
all right, so I have a
Okay, do I
couple
have a second for
questions.
that?
Included in that they, whoever you wanna note, you or Scott or whomever, you know, approves the.
And that is only for October 5th, right?
One day,
One
whatever
day.
that day is.
Okay.
Do I have a second for that? I'll second it. Do you have a question?
I have several.
Go for it.
Has this been an ongoing problem with parking over there? Do you know?
I only recall hearing about it after the fact. I don't recall seeing any reports of us being called there.
Okay.
It's just more or less, hey, parking's pretty bad when they have many soccer games going on.
All right.
So it's not something we're made aware of.
Okay. Your perspective?
We don't call the cops anymore. The sign is up, that your vehicle will be towed, and we call the tow truck.
Okay.
And I just checked, we do have a rental October 5th. So I'm not sure what type of rental that is, but if you're having your wedding reception in there and it's full of soccer cars, somebody's getting towed.
Okay. Have you seen a problem? I guess is what I'm
Well,
asking.
The first couple times, when the wrecker backed in and the cars are being put up, and the guys are running across the field yelling, wait, wait, wait. And, you know, the one time the guy says to the wrecker operator, how can we work this out? Don't tow my car, how can we work this out? And he said, my bed's down, $150 works it out. And
Yeah.
he
All
paid
the
it.
signs.
Problem solved.
That's why I
Actions
just
have
checked,
consequences.
because Friday
Yeah.
night is bingo, Saturday there's a lot of rentals, you
Yeah.
know. So those are the two big days.
Yep. No, I just listen. One of the things, this was the main concern of mine when doing this. I'm not really inclined to grant them any flexibility on this, to be honest.
Well, the problem is if we don't give them additional parking, we're not helping the situation.
Right. I just listen. I know what they said about. Listen, I've seen when soccer's played. I've also seen. I'd rather have financial consideration. because, to be honest, like, the vehicles are heavy, and we have nothing there.
If they destroy the grass one time, they're done. You know, the agreement's over and the grass grows back.
I'm sure if you look at the aerial, I'm sure that whoever was using the fields before, the
Okay.
Palmyra Rec was parking there to begin with.
Right. Right, okay.
And it is in the agreement that if they mess it up, they have to put it back
Yeah,
to
it's
original
true.
condition.
Right.
So I mean, really to have to put a financial security,
No, I guess,
I mean, unless it was a
the
constant
message I'm
problem.
trying to send is like, we're serious about them, because they said they would take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
They said they would encourage, like, you know, carpooling. They came in here and said, we will be responsible. And the message I'm trying to send is, be responsible, you know, like,
and I guess I'm taking the email as they recognize they're gonna have an issue here.
Okay.
And if we can allow them this extra space, great. If not, then he's gonna go and figure out a different way to handle it. I mean, I think it's a communication. It's not like they did it and then come back and said, oops, we messed up. So
okay.
it's how I'm taking it. Now, I could be very wrong and it could all go south, but we have provisions in there where it does
And I
go
would
south and then.
strongly encourage them with their parking monitor to have someone at the fire hall.
Yeah,
Because I'll have a total different opinion if Ed's in here, you know, in November telling us, you know, they had 30 cars towed and it was this big, you know, ordeal and.
Someone's wedding was run.
Yeah, I'll be really, really, in a different position.
Yes, I think the message is we want to be supportive, but we also want them to bear their part of the responsibility.
Anytime that I've contacted him in regard to an email I've gotten from a resident, I email him right away and say, look, this is what's going on. Can you have them not park in this area? And he's been very responsive to fixing as he's aware of problems. So I guess he's aware of a problem coming up. So having him come to us instead of us going to him and saying, what do you do? I mean,
That's good. Okay, I'm for it.
So any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the Pierce Memorial discussion, we are gonna table that for now. The police are going to put a proposal together and get it to us as far as I'm understanding. Yes?
We've narrowed down if we could have approval to potentially get an estimate on what the cost would be. Outside the police offices, we were looking at a potential hardscape of that area within the morning. So we would just like to maybe contact some local businesses, check into that, and then come back to you folks later. But if you think that would be something acceptable, we obviously don't want to start something that wouldn't be acceptable out of the gate.
I would agree.
I have no problem with that either.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, old business, we don't have John here. HVAC, do we have any more to update on that?
Nope.
Okay, so we can actually take that.
The sticks and biscuits here.
I tabled, I'm asking that the board table that. I did not receive their application. I've reached out and they do this to me every year.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I reached out to the number and I couldn't leave a message because her email or her box was
Voicemail.
still in. That's the only contact. There was no email, no nothing.
Okay, so HVAC can be taken off. We don't ever have to see that again for now.
I don't know that, no.
Oh, bummer.
No,
All right.
No.
Not yet. Okay. So, our next meeting, this is not right on here. Or am I looking at an old agenda?
You gotta look at the one with the at the bottom.
Yeah, point for.
Do I have the wrong one?
No,
on there?
August is gone.
No.
So, our next meeting is a workshop, and that will be September 25th. And then our regular meeting will be October 8th. And zoning hearing, I don't know that there's one scheduled that I'm aware of.
No.
Good and welfare. All right, so I have a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Yes, exec next. Thank you all.
It's being recorded still.
That's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to, we're off the, we're